G'day viewers, Jeff from McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Probably a boring topic, but I think it's an interesting one when you want to work out where you are in your business. And it's about how to work out your hourly rate. What's your business costing you, and are you making enough money? The subject's been covered extensively on YouTube and also Facebook groups, but I've had a lot of requests, emails from guys asking how I do it. So this is my take on it. Rightly or wrongly, but this is the way I do it. So take out what you will, especially the newcomers. You might get a lot out of it. The older guys have been doing it for a while. You might think, this is boring. Turn off now. But look, I understand. But I think it's very important in running a business is to know where you are. So when I first started the business, I was earning an hourly rate, and I took that hourly rate plus a little bit extra into my business, and that's what I charged. And I thought, yeah, this is great. I'm earning more than what I used to earn. And by the end of the year, I thought, this is really good. But what I found is I was putting all the money back into the business, and there was nothing left at the end for me. We were making a very small amount of money, and I started to think, no, something's not right here. So then, we're talking 35 years ago, so we didn't have YouTubes, we didn't have any help. We didn't have any mentors, we didn't have any Facebook that we could ask. So we're virtually running solo. And in those days, our competition, everyone was pretty guarded on what they charged. So you really had to do it the hard way and find out. So I sat down and I worked out after the first couple of years what my business was costing me. So and also how many hours can I work? So the first important thing is to work out your billable hours. In Australia, with holidays, public holidays, sick days or wet weather, not being able to work, breakdowns, etc. We worked out 200 working days a year. You poor buggers up in UK in the middle of summer droughts, it's going to be a bit less this year, of course, and of course then you've got to go into winter time when you can't work, so your billable hours be a lot lower than ours, and therefore you really got to think about your how much your running costs are. So I've worked out 200 hours. Now, in a day, I'll be lucky to get 5 billable hours a day. Now, that's the hours that I work that I get paid for. The time you travel between jobs, and that's why you need to keep your rounds so tight. So the tighter the round, the less travelling. Or if you do jobs that you're not travelling, you may be able to increase the amount of billable hours in a day. But I average 5 hours a day, so that leaves me 1,000 billable hours a year. Now, looking at my expenses of the business, I've got to work out exactly where I am. So after 12 months, or even if I've been for 6 months, I can work out a budget for how much my business is going to cost me. Now, first off, we've got obviously the accountant. We've all got to pay the accountant. We have bank fees. There's always transaction fees, etc. Advertising costs. Some of us still advertise even after all these years. You've still got advertising costs. Motor vehicle expenses, which means that you've got your fuel, your registration, your insurances, and your maintenance, everything of your vehicle. But there's also a cost which a lot of people don't think about, is the replacement of that vehicle. So I replace after 5 years. So in 5 years' time, I've either paid the car off from a loan or a lease, or if I paid cash, I'll have saved up that amount to buy a new vehicle after 5 years. So those costs have got to come into play when you work out your hourly rate. Got to look at our mower and small equipment costs, maintenance, fuel, and also the replacement. Same theory, I replace every 2 years for whippersnippers and mowers. So again, those guys have got to come into play. Tipping fees, workshop and tools, and also power and heating. Why? Well, we run an office because the business you've got to come home, you've got to do your bookwork, and in Australia we're allowed to claim up to 30% of our power and heating costs. So that's another little cost that we put into the budget. The material cost of your business, well, you don't add that into your hourly rate because you directly charge that to your customer, and also you'll have your markups on that as well. So if I supply a 3 cubic metres of mulch, I'll also include a delivery fee, and I'll also include a handling fee. So you make separate money aside on material costs. So working all that out, I've worked out all my running of the business. So now I've got to work out what wage do I want to achieve. Now, a lot of guys, what they do is they work out the average wage. So in Australia, the average wage is 75,000. So that's a cost that I'll put down in my hourly rate. So that's $75 an hour just to start, without considering anything else. So 75 grand is a wage, which is the average wage. Now, of course, because you're a business, you've got to also include a profit on that. So a profit would be in the vicinity of 20 to 30%. So that's got to be added into your figure. Also, you've got to add in superannuation. In Australia, it's 10%. So, the younger you are, the more super you put in. And trust me, you really got to think about putting super away, because when you get to the end and you haven't done it, it's, it makes it hard, especially if you've done it all your life. And also, finally, the goods and services tax, which in Australia we have to add on to our hourly figure. So when we work out all those costs and divide it by the billable hours, we come up with our hourly rate. Now, this should be used as a guide. You should always try to do it each year, which I do. I try to every year analyse my costs and therefore work out where I should go, whether I should move the prices up or leave them as they are. Now, obviously, there's going to be some areas that won't pay your hourly rate. The customer, of course, will never know your hourly rate because you only use that to work out your quote. So if I think it's going to take 3 hours, I'll multiply by my hourly rate, then add on the materials if required. But the customer will never know my hourly rate. That's the way I work. I know some guys do hourly rates, but I try to work out how long it'll take. Okay, I might not win all the time, but I might win a lot of the other times. The other thing is in mowing, obviously you're going to be dictated by your competition's prices, so you need to think about what the market is on mowing. But of course, mowing, you can achieve a lot more than your hourly rate, especially if your round is tight. You might do 2 or 3 lawns in an hour, so that's going to be well in excess of your hourly rate. But you've got to be conscious that billable, achievable hours per day is not as much as you think they are. And the running costs of your business are a lot higher than what they are unless you keep track of it. So just my little take on it. It's something that to think about when you're running a business, when you're setting it up, budgets. Yes, I know there's a lot of guys that just go, oh look, I work on $77 an hour, I'm happy with it. That's fine and make money out of it, good. But I think a good business needs to know exactly the costs of running the business. And I think if you break it simply down the way I've explained it, it might help a little bit. That's the way I do it. Now, obviously, I like to hear other comments. Please subscribe my channel and please add some comments. I'd really welcome some feedback. All right, so just a quick one today, and sorry, I know it's a bit boring sometimes, but I have been asked on quite a few occasions. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Okay, Jake, you can cut, man. Yeah. Okay.